Feeling like your kids are underappreciative or even ungrateful? Today we've got help. Welcome to Empowered Kids Deep Village Talk. You're here because you know that every family has the potential to be great, and you're willing to push the boundaries of your mindset so that you can create the family of your dreams. Today, we have a question from Ruth. And Ruth writes, I have a 4-year-old daughter who, since I can remember, has never been satisfied with anything I have done. She was a very teary baby, crying constantly day and night. And as she got older, it hasn't changed. She still cries and tantrums over the slightest of things. I have struggled so much, and no amount of help from school or social workers, etc., has made the slightest bit of difference. We buy her favorite foods when we shop. I set up her bedroom so that it's nice and cozy as I possibly can. You name it, I have done it to make her happy. And it's still not good enough. We need help. Bedtime always turns out to be World War III, and it's so difficult to keep her calm when she's screaming, and she doesn't have a reason why. Can you help? Well, to join us today to help us is a parenting coach that you will find so much value from. Her name is Rohini Sethi. Rohini has a master's in child development from Delhi University and is a child development and parenting consultant, offering guidance and counseling to families with children ages 0 to 18 years. Rohini is the founder of Talk Child, which offers guidance and counseling in child development and parenting. It was established to address the challenging issues of effective parenting in a competitive, demanding, and dynamic society. So please help me to welcome Rohini. Rohini, welcome to Village Talk.
Hi, Nicole. Thanks so much for having me here on Empowered Kids TV.
Absolutely. This is a tough question, and I think for a lot of parents, there is some version of this that we feel from time to time. We're always giving and giving and giving of ourselves, and we can feel like our kids take us for granted, or they don't actually get to that space where they understand the value and appreciate all that we do. So can you help Ruth with this question today, Rohini?
I know. I want to begin by giving a big mom hug to Ruth for reaching out. It's really a tough job, And I'm looking at the question, and there seem to be a couple of different concerns that are mingled in this question. So there is an upset child, and there's an upset mother, and there's a concern of the lack of gratitude in the child. The child is really very small, 4 years is a baby. And but there are lots of tantrums, and there's loads of unhappiness. And I just hope the mom feels that I'm wrapping her in a hug before I start. It is tough to reach out with personal problems. It's the first step to learning, to moving ahead. So children's behavior is really an indication of what's happening within them, their inner world, their meltdowns, their tantrums. They're all windows to their feelings. That's the way they communicate. They express their unhappiness by acting out until they are mature enough to do better. So I totally hear the mom, and it takes several years to find peace in the parenting experience. It's a hugely exhaustive phase for any mom to, birth onwards. You have a baby, you are giving the baby uninterrupted care, and there's soothing, and there's washing, and there's cleaning, and there's feeding, and there's night after night, day after day. And now you have a little person who also has choices and a will of her own. So it is hard. So parenting and easy are opposites. They're antonyms. It's indeed hard. As children grow up, adults, parents, we look for very complicated reasons to explain our child's behavior. Why does she do this? And why does he not do this? And we assume that now they need something more than just basic care. We are seeking greater challenges for them. And even before sometimes the child is ready to take that challenge. And we sort of get profound, I think, too soon. We look for very complex ways of engaging them and attending to them with very expensive things and more complex activities, greater adventure. It's true that their requirements do change as they grow. They do need higher learning opportunities and more complex activities. Yet what doesn't need to change is the basic care that we are providing. Your presence, your patience, your continual and consistent efforts, these need to carry on no matter what the age of the child is. The primary part of caregiving, loving, hugging, staying close, watching over, all this cannot stop or change ever. So whenever I'm stuck with the behavior of a person I love, I like to begin with the basics, no matter what the age of the child. So tantrums are sometimes a red flag, to check children's development. There could be something happening in their bodies that they are uncomfortable about, like a rash or a fissure because of constipation, or their inability to use the washroom themselves. They're not able to help themselves in the toilet. Sometimes it's a passing phase, and sometimes it's a really long phase. So after I've made sure that the child doesn't have any physical illness or injury or body problems, which a medical professional would establish for you, I move on to my checklist of basics. I call it my primary care list, and primary always precedes the profound. So safety and security, food and nutrition, it goes in that order. Rest, relaxation, and sleep. And then we go on to play and games, which are also very important, age 4. And after that comes higher learning, education, reading, self-esteem. We don't even get there before the first 3 are really in place. So is your child feeling safe and secure? Is she feeling threatened by something new in her environment? You have to check all this. A new school, perhaps, a new teacher, a new nanny, or maybe a new neighborhood. I don't know too much about Ruth's background, but maybe there's a new baby in the house, or maybe they're expecting a new baby, or there is something the child is feeling worried or scared about that the adults in the house might be going through. That could be health problems, relationship problems, financial stress, little things. They do trickle down to kids. Kids are very sensitive. They're like a sponge. So they're just unable to understand it or explain it to us in words, and so they act it out. They are overwhelmed. If you make sure that the child is safe and secure, then have a look at the nutrition, the food. Good food, healthy food. Food is very important for happiness too. An extra ice cream or some extra chocolate, some extra potato chips in a day doesn't harm anybody. In fact, I totally believe that an increased level of happiness is the cure to most child problems. So happiness is a prerequisite for any human being, small or big, all of us actually. It's unlikely that an unhappy person will oblige you with desirable behavior. If you think your child is happy, do check on her sleep and rest. So make sure the child is sleeping enough, napping for a couple of hours in the day, because kids this age are very exhausted. Age 4, they're taking in a lot more stimulation than they used to as babies. They're now, they're very sensitive to their environment. They're taking in details of activities, people around them, feelings, thoughts, flavors, of different foods they're being introduced to, and they don't have enough maturity. The human brain isn't as mature as it would be at every 5 years from now. Things will keep. In fact, they change much earlier, so they're not mature enough to assimilate it. So they do end up feeling rather exhausted. They need sleep. After this, it's free play and games. No amount of play is a lot of play. Look, I do understand that children need boundaries. a 100%. They need boundaries. Yet, boundaries only work if you already have built a strong connection with your child. The base of any relationship, a bond, because eventually parenting is a relationship. It's a relationship like any other. It is co created bit by bit. There is no formula, there is no recipe that unveils it magically. You know, you have a baby and it's yours and it's happily ever after. No, it's like a marriage, it's like a friendship, it's like any other difficult relationship. So that connection has to be in place. We will talk about how we can create it, but boundaries work when there is a bond. So, in fact, I read something really nice this morning that if there isn't a wall, then how will the child bounce off something? How will they hit against it and bounce off? So, walls, boundaries are important. So, you know, essentially defiance, disobedience, obedience, these are not really discipline problems. They are a connection issue. So, your power as a parent lies in your presence. At every difficult moment, you have to be present with your calm. So, I call it like the calm is the balm. So in the face of a tantrum, there can nothing else can work, because when a tantrum happens, okay, and I like the word meltdown. So when there is a meltdown, there it's like an engine has broken. It's an absolute shutting off a machine. It's not working. So there is no point entering that arena with hyperactivity, because no amount of keep quiet, stop crying, what do you want, talk to me, tell me is going to help. A meltdown can only be worked towards in a preventive way. We have to reach a point where it won't happen. Once it happens, all you can do is take 3 deep breaths, be calm. Even if you're not feeling calm, act like you are calm. Pretense is important because you are showing the kid what to do in stress. So that's the first time they learn that I can respond by saying or doing nothing in a situation. So you walk into that space with your calm, and then you acknowledge the child's feelings. So I can see you're very upset, angry, sad, whatever. Validate the feeling that I understand it's all right to be sad, it's all right to be unhappy. And then you show them that you care. I'm right here with you, you know, you can hold me, you can come close to me, you can hug me. The child needs to hear that they are in a safe place. So the next time they know what to expect. You know, so what we're trying to do here basically is to understand the need behind the behavior. What need is this tantrum really serving, and what needs isn't it? What needs aren't being served? What's happening behind the scenes? I don't think that outcries or meltdowns are ever about material things per se. Clearly, buying things isn't working as an idea to please this kid. So stop buying the stuff. You don't need to do that. She's a 4-year-old. The child is not under immense peer pressure or is not influenced by the world of brands, or she's not a compulsive shopper or collector. The child is seeking a connection with people, not things, ever. So the things, like the material things, they just seem to be the thing that the child's immature brain thinks that will get her your time and attention, perhaps. So, you know, kids are very smart. They are seeking legit ways of getting our attention. So, a 1-year-old will spit the food repeatedly. It becomes like a game for them. A 2-year-old throws up. A 4-year-old is asking for things, perhaps, because she's able to walk through the malls with you and see the windows. But it's not really the thing that they want. It's you, your presence, your complete presence that they're looking for. And some kids, so my daughter used to insist on walking out of the house with 2 different shoes, not the same pair. You know, or there are some, a friend of hers wanted to walk out of the house with the socks on the hands. And then there are some kids who want to walk out in their underwears. So, you know, they do anything So the behaviors here are not what is important. What tantrum she's throwing, whether she's throwing it for sleep at sleep time or wake up time, they can just do about anything. If you notice, they do anything that's in their control and something that throws the mother out of control. And it's always something the mom can't handle because that behavior never repeats. They're very creative. They have, different kinds of stories that come up every day. So they're constantly,
And us on our toes.
yeah, they're constantly testing exactly boundaries, testing your limits. And you, as an adult, need to stand firm on your calm presence, even if it's a pretense. Show the calm. We say, show the calm. You may not be feeling it. It's very hard to stay calm, but you have to show it. It comes with practice. It does come. Wait, it will come. So you in no way are being judged for the behavior of your child. We have that more than anything else. We want to correct the situation really quickly. Now, this is a brand new person. Her thoughts and feelings and experiences are completely distinct from you. You're not being judged for your child's behavior. Your child's tantrum is not a reflection on you or your parenting. Though what is a reflection is your response to the tantrum. We can't be possibly acting like kids ourselves, if we need our kids to grow into the adults we want. So fighting fire with fire is not the solution ever. And your big concern, Ruth's big concern was the other people, like the onlookers. As best as you can, do not try to please the onlookers or rise to their expectations. You will never get that right. That's almost a point you will always fail at because you can never live up to other people's expectations. The only person who truly understands this child and her needs is you. And you have to move ahead with that confidence and truth. So I had a little activity I used to share with parents, try adding this to your routine. It's a great exercise to connect, to bond with your child. You can have a 15-minute or a 10-minute bonding time every day. Give it a name. So mama baby special time. This is going to be a one-on-one dedicated 15 minutes with nothing and no one else. You can play a game or you can talk about something and let the kid pick the activity. No phone calls, no phone scrolling, no doorbell, no siblings, no distractions. That time is just for the baby and the child and you, and no correcting, no instructing. It's just a special time to soak up with all the love and attention. So this child knows that this time is completely hers. She counts on this time and doesn't try to create other spaces during the day. So keep a timer. It has to be strictly 10 or 15 minutes, whatever you choose, so that nobody's upset when it ends. And children like patterns, they like very predictable routines, something they can look forward to. And you can end it with I love you and how much I enjoyed this time and how I can't wait for it tomorrow. So this should be done every single day, and then the child knows that she can count on it. Another very important thing that seemed to work with a lot of parents was learning to talk through your frustrating moments. So we call it labeling your emotion. I had a very rough day. I got late for work, and when I sat in my car, I had a flat tire, and I felt very anxious. And by the end of it, I found somebody to help me, and fortunately, the day went off well. Thank God. If you can speak how you feel, you can live through that feeling better. So we call it labeling our emotions. Children eventually pick more words as they grow, their vocabulary expands. If you can say, I'm feeling angry, it's unlikely that you'll break a glass, if you can speak those words. So yeah, the more words the child learns, the better things will get. They're able to express themselves and rather than acting out the emotion. So gratitude was a big concern in this question. Developing gratitude, that's my favorite concept lately. It does grow on you as you grow older, but developing gratitude, I believe, it's the habit of a heart. It is the habit of a healthy heart. And the heart, I'm using heart here not as an emotional organ, but as a very thinking part of us. It's the habit of an intelligent, functional, very healthy human being. It grows out of our acts and experiences. It can't be taught. I can't tell my child to say thank you. He will and she will say thank you if I force them to. But do they feel the thank you is the question. So gratitude is an experience. It's an experience of kindness, and you cannot make kids feel gratitude by instructing them to be grateful. Gratitude comes through actions. We need to feel it more than learn it through instruction by doing small things for people, which in turn make us happy. So, like helping some elderly person in the house, or helping your younger sibling, or just helping mom around the house to do little things, helping somebody in the neighborhood. It can be age related, the tasks. And when you experience a well earned thank you, that makes you feel a thank you within. That you understand what thank you is when you experience it, and then you appreciate what you have. It doesn't grow out of having enough materials or things. It grows out of doing things, small acts of charity and kindness, and it also grows by watching adults in your life do the same. So give yourself some grace, Ruth. Give yourself a break. Maybe that's what the kid wants to see, that your children want to see you happy. If you look back on your childhood, your happiest moments were the times when your mom was happy, if you just think about it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
maybe the child wants to see a happy, smiling mother who is not instructing, following, and directing all the time, but just doing the right things for herself. So,
Rohini, I love this. It's so comprehensive, the answer that you've given to Boot, in terms of taking a step back and really checking, are we getting the basics right here for the relationship so that it's connected, that the child is leaning in for that love and it
right.
feels safe, and that we're having that experience of bonding. I think there's one thing I would like to add before we summarize here for Root. It's remember that your kids' experience isn't a judgment of how well you're doing. So the
Absolutely.
fact that she's crying doesn't mean that you're not doing well enough so that you feel like she's
Absolutely.
ungrateful for all that you're doing. The second
Absolutely.
thing I would say here as well, Rohini, is especially based on how Ruth has described her daughter, is that sometimes we have different temperaments in the family. And it may be that Ruth has a very sensitive child, a highly sensitive child, and highly sensitive children move through the world feeling more of all of their emotions. And so sometimes
Right.
what may feel simple, like it's nothing to cry for, will make a highly sensitive child kind of fall apart and melt down, as we talked about it. So that's also
More
something.
upset. Yes, more
Yeah, more
upset.
upset.
Yeah.
So you've given such fantastic tips. I just want to summarize here for Ruth and everybody else watching in. So the first is, remember that kids' behavior is a reflection of what's happening on the inside of them and not a reflection of you. I think that's so important for us to get. Begin with the basics. What is happening for the child that is making them melt down? Kind of get really clued up on what's going on the inside of your child. And then, is your child feeling safe and secure? What about their diet? Enough connection, enough playtime? Are they getting enough sleep and rest during the day, depending on their age? Also, remember that boundaries work where there is connection. And I love this one because
Yeah.
connection is the home base and the boundaries are the wall. And you can't have the wall without having the home base first. And so I absolutely
Absolutely.
love this reminder, Rohini. Then it was Stay calm and validate your child's feelings. And I love that you're saying that we may not start at the place where we feel calm, but show up calm anyway and practice it until you get to that space of where you're feeling calm rather than waiting for the feeling first. And what I loved about what you said here was to recognize that in doing that, you model for your kids what it looks like to show up, even though they're having a whole burst of different emotions happening within them at the same time. You also said, remember your child's behavior again is not a reflection of you. Add that one on one time for connection. Learn to talk through all of your emotions. And again, this is modeling for your kids as you show up talking about all of your emotions. They get to do the same. Is there anything else you'd like to add for Ruth Rohini before we wrap up?
Yeah, perhaps, we build our own stories in our head. So if we can try and change the narrative. So there are questions that worry us all the time, but you can change the narrative in your mind. So let's say my baby wants something different, perhaps. I'm discovering what that is. It's a process, and I'm trying to figure what she needs one moment, one meltdown at a time. And the irony, I'll sum up with my favorite thought. I learned this as my children grew up. The irony of parenting life is that by the time we learn to tackle kids at a stage, they have in fact moved on to the next. So,
So
you know,
true. So true.
and then we can help other people. That's why this lovely village talk.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for
Thank you
joining
so
us for
much,
this
Nicole.
episode. We're all about sharing and supporting this village. So if you found value in this episode, be sure to share it with your family and friends. And remember, this is a weekly show. So if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you'll be notified of our next episode. As we always say in the village, you're just one connection away. With love and gratitude, empower us. Until next time.